From Cult Epics comes a 4K and Blu-ray edition of the Tinto Brass classic The Key from 1983. This is 111 minutes. It stars Frank Finlay, Stefania Sandrelli, and Franco Branciaroli. It's got a score by Ennio Morricone, and we have a 4K disc and we have a Blu-ray disc. So if you don't know anything about Tinto Brass, if you know anything about Russ Meyer, he was very much into the upper frontals. Tinto Brass is really into the posterior realities. So Tinto Brass is all about, what I always say is, if you look at his last name, B-R-A-S-S, drop the B-R, that's what Tinto Brass was all about. Italian filmmaker, best known for films like Salon Kitty and Caligula, even though Caligula was, I don't know, I think he's disowned it at this point. He did all these erotic films from the really 80s into the 90s and beyond, but he was working before that. But when he really fixated on what he was fixating on, that was mostly an 80s, 90s thing in 2000s. And they're very well made. They're gorgeous to look at. If you're a fan of the rump, as it were, these films are for you. And they're like these erotic dramas, sometimes a little light with some comedy. This one is, the basic story is that a husband feels that they live in Venice, a very scholarly older husband and a younger wife. He feels that she is very frigid, as it were, in the bedroom, is not very interested in things. And he decides to write a diary where he is writing out his fantasies and things and leaves it where she will find it. She decides to do the same. And through their diaries, they are able to sort of, pardon the phrase, come together as one, and things flower. But in his diary, he is basically encouraging her to have a fling with their daughter's boyfriend, I believe. I don't think he's her husband. And that's what a lot of the film is about. So it's Frank Finlay encouraging his wife to go off and expand her horizons with this younger man, and then come back to him all energized and liberated, and finally take care of business in the bedroom. So very artfully done, not very explicit, though you do see below the belt for both male and female. Although when it's a male, if it's a very happy male, which is not what McDonald's offers. If it's a very aroused male, shall we say, it is a prosthetic. You don't really see the real thing, but you do see the real thing when it's flip-flopping and flying. So this is beautiful Venetian locations, interiors and exteriors. It is, obviously it's Morricone, so it's a great score. I found the film a little dull to my taste. I think I'm used to the other Brass films that have much more lightness in them and much more frolic and frivolity in them, but it's still a good movie. And oftentimes in the extras, this is referred to like as his masterpiece. This is one everybody's waiting for. The Key. Is The Key out yet? And I think I like the other ones better than The Key, but this presentation is pretty flawless and it's hard to argue with. Cult Epics does a fantastic job. They've been the sort of the custodians of the Brass, the official licensors and custodians of the Tinto Brass catalog in this country for many years, and it's nice to see them go from DVD to Blu-ray to now 4K. So the 4K disc is the movie itself. It is original mono audio, mostly in English, some in Italian. It kind of goes back and forth because Finlay is an English speaker and a lot of the rest of the cast is not, and they're in Venice. So if you don't like reading your films, the whole thing isn't subtitled. There's a good amount of English in there, and it looks fantastic. Let's see. Oh, yeah, notes are off to the side. It's set against the rise of fascism, so that's playing in the background, and that really kind of comes through with some of the characters in the film. The liberal, artistic, freedom-loving, free expression Finlay on one side, and other people who are much more, Mussolini's kind of great. And Sandrelli comes off to me as a little stiff, but again, that's the character. But she certainly looks fantastic. Like, I believe Tinto Brass, much like Russ Meyer, they really cast more for the build of their female leads than they did the acting ability. And when it's an erotic film, that kind of makes sense. Special features, audio commentary. This is on the 4K disc. Audio commentary with Eugenio Ercolani and Marcus Stegler. Pardon me if I mispronounced that name. And then you get some Tinto Brass trailers, which also look fantastic for other Cult Epics releases. You get The Key, Cheeky, Frivolous Lola, and All Ladies Do It. On the Blu-ray disc, you get all of that stuff, minus the 4K visuals. You get Tinto's Talisman, a 3-minute interview with Franco Branciaroli, who played the daughter's boyfriend / wife's lover, and he's incredibly candid. He has very saucy recollections, and it's a pretty fun, if not lascivious, interview. Keyhole Venice, 7 minutes, which is just then and now shots of the locations from the film, which I'm always a big fan of. Sensuous Morricone interview with Pier Paolo De Sanctis, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name. He is one of the people who runs Four Flies Records, which is a I'll save you my Four Flies story, but he was very, very nice to me once, so I'm always interested in what he has to say. And Claudio Fuanio, that's a half hour where they basically talk about Morricone's work in erotic films. Anytime Pier Paolo shows up on an extra talking about music, it's fantastic because he knows his stuff and he really digs into careers and genres and movements and all this kind of stuff. Score by Ennio Morricone, half hour. It's the entire score. It plays over a still from the film, but you can listen to, is essentially having the soundtrack album on here. So you can pop that on and hear the whole score there, which is really good. Sorry, 32 minutes. Archival interview with Tinto Brass at 17 minutes, 4:3 standard def, and he speaks English, talking about this film and his career. Outtakes Venice, it's 10 minutes. They're silent, set to score. It's just B-roll, fairly bland B-roll actually, of shots in Venice of like across the water and various locations. It's basically the establishing shots, what they called the establishing shots from in the film. The key poster gallery is 3 minutes with international posters and lobby cards, and a Tinto Brass photo gallery that is 3 minutes and saucy. So the package looks a little something like this. Stefania Sandrelli there in a one of the rather more demure poses from the film. And we slip that off. And this is region, what is this? I believe this is just region A. So we get that again, slightly different pose. And there, very well photographed films these are. And then you get some more. All Sandrelli all the time. Sorry, you get the Blu-ray and the 4K. You get a little booklet with some casual nudity there. And has a big article from Eugenio Orcolani about the film. Lots of stills from the film, lots of posters. It's a really nice package. They do fantastic editions of these Tinto Brass films, which again is a director who in Europe is better known, in Italy is better known, really isn't that well known here aside from 1 or 2 titles, but is stuff that if you're into like 70s, 80s, like I say really classy, but some of these films are really crude at the same time, but very classically presented erotic films, European films, the kind of stuff they used to show on Cinemax After Dark when it wasn't, Buford's Beach Bunnies and stuff like that. These editions are really nice and they look and sound fantastic. So available on Blu-ray and 4K UHD from Cult Epics is Tinto Brass's The Key.